All right, here is my first attempt at video logging my NBA ranks. So I am recapping for, I think, what is week 18. Basically, I did this in Australia, February the 2nd. So it's for all matches that were played up to and including February the 1st. By the time you watch this, matches will still be in play and ranks will have updated, but that's all right. That's the point in time at which this is occurring. I generally update my ranks once a week, and then the caveat is I don't know a whole lot about the NBA. This is my first time I'm doing my ranking system and I'm learning as I go. And so I recommend you don't make any decisions based off what I say here because only I know how my ranks work and I know what their strengths and weaknesses are. So this is just more of an FYI and an introduction to how I do ranking. But with that aside, let's get straight into it. So what I've got showing you here, and forgive me, I should have put labels on the graphs. I didn't. I'm lazy. The top line is Golden State. So they're the pinnacle of the teams. They're pretty much known as the best team in the comp. They're the favourites to win, pretty short favourites to win, and they're the benchmark. The bottom line is Brooklyn. So Brooklyn is pretty much the worst team in the comp in terms of wins and losses. Not in terms of my ranks. Lakers are actually down the bottom, but for reference, here we've got the upper and the lower limit of the teams. Everyone else should roughly occur some point within those ranks. Now you can see Golden State have had a pretty decent season. They're on the up overall, a few ups and downs. That happens as they go through wins and loss streaks, but overall on the way up. Still the best team in the comp. But let's consider Cleveland. So here's Cleveland, and Cleveland are the team billed as the best of the East and the ones most likely to be playing Golden State in the finals. They're not doing that great. They're okay. Recent form has been on a steady downward trend. You can see from about this point here, they've roughly gone down pretty much on a steady trend, and they're only now starting to make their way back up. Let's see that they are a strong team, I think. Once again, my minimal NBA knowledge kicks in, but they might have been pacing themselves, or who knows. I think they'll still be there or thereabouts as we get to the end of the season, but it's just an interesting to look at how their ranks have been trending. Moving on, so let's look at Golden State's next most likely competitor. If I can get this go. Technical difficulties. So here are SAS, the Spurs. So as you can see, this is Golden State's most likely competitor in the West. So they've been there or thereabouts all season, very consistent, on the up overall, not too many peaks, troughs, just, pretty standard. And they've had a slight dip recently with a few results not going really for them, but they're still there or thereabouts, definitely in the mix come the playoffs. The next one I want to look at is the third line of betting in the West, which is Houston. So Houston are having a strong season, and if you have a look, their ranks have probably been some of the most consistent across all of the top teams. There's no too many big dips or peaks through this. It's just pretty much standard, on a little bit on the increase, but pretty flat. And that puts them around that third to fourth line consistently in the West. The question is whether they can take it to Golden State or Spurs. And that's where, once again, my NBA knowledge does not come. I don't know. I don't watch the games, so I'm not sure. But they're having a pretty solid season, is how I would view it based on those ranks. All right, now I've already covered Cleveland. Let's move to the next team most likely, according to the markets of the East, and it's Boston. And I find Boston interesting. They're second favourite in a lot of markets in the East, behind Cleveland, and they did show some strong signs early. You can see starting, they made their way up to a decent point here, and then flatline for a bit before they've gone on a steady downward trend. So they're still second in the betting, and they're still doing all right, but based on the ranks, based on the results, I'm not seeing the right trend. There are still 30 odd games left for each team, so they can turn it around. But it's interesting to note that their position in the ranks is not reflected position in the markets. And the final team I want to show is a bit of a special team. It's Washington. So this is a special inclusion because after the last week, after the last update, when I updated my ranks, they are actually second in the ranks overall. So that is first in the East and second only behind Golden State. And a lot of people say it's crazy. My friends have gone, that's just absolutely stupid. But the thing to keep in mind is the ranks do use the entire season of data, but there's a favoritism towards recent trends. So the recent form, basically the ranks show who's in form at the time. And I looked back at the results to look at this, and I saw that around January 11th, Washington were 19 and 19, so having a 50% season, and not a great season. Since then, they've gone 9 and 1. They've beat some decently ranked teams. They haven't beat the top sort of echelon, but they've beaten mid-ranked teams quite consistently, and only had one loss, close loss to Boston. So that has contributed to that steady increase in their ranks. When you look at the actual conference table positioning, they're still just fourth, and they will still need a very strong finish in the season to even make the playoffs. But that's where these ranks don't necessarily always correlate to the table. This is showing more of form, and in form, they're one of the better teams at the moment. Interesting thing to point out and to consider. Now, that is the end. That's a quick intro into how I do my NBA ranks. I didn't go into the details. For more info on my ranks, you can see the whole 30 teams ranked where they are. Go to my website. I'll put that in the notes below. And I'm also want to be adding more videos like this. So, not at a rush, add them slowly, but please let me know if you liked this, or if you have questions, or if you want to see more of this. Please add that in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Otherwise, until next time, good luck.